Yeah. What's up, y'all? The healing process, the healing process. We're talking about the healing process today and about what healing is. We've been on this show for a while talking about concepts like God, like authenticity, healing. These are words that we hear often. I think more and more recently, I think healing is becoming really a common thing. I think that's a good thing. I think the use and the common use of a word is an indication of what's going on in that society. I don't think that I know that the words we use, the words we create, and then their use and frequency tells us about the society. So that healing is a conversation that's happening more and more often. That's a good thing. That's fucking fantastic. But what does it mean? What does it mean? And how do you know that you're healing? Um, how do you know that you're healing? Well, let's try to talk about that a little bit today. One of the first things to acknowledge is that healing is going to look very different for every person. Everybody's healing journey, healing process is going to look extremely different, entirely different, because everyone has built up an experience that is entirely theirs. That's why if you go to therapy sessions, depending on what we're dealing with, but therapy is often a one-on-one thing where your very personal experience gets examined and you get a professional who can help you see things from a different angle, see things differently, can ask the right kinds of questions that could help you see things that might have not been available to you on your own. So um, that's why healing can look very different. People are healing from all kinds of things. People are healing from very personal traumas and experiences. Each of us, very different across the gamut. Um, there's racial trauma. There's gender-based trauma. There's um, all kinds. We've talked about it. We've talked about the gender-based trauma includes simple things like men feeling that they have no value until they can be successful capitalists, and it's all about stories. We've talked about this. Stories are at the root of so many things. So that not only are there actual, what we would call traumas, clear traumas, we're talking about like things that people endured as a child, but then there are just stories. There are approaches, philosophies, frames of perspective that we've adopted. We've inherited it from our parents and from our loved ones. We picked it up at school when we were kids, and they caused us to look at the world differently. They caused us to experience the world in a certain way. And so healing happens throughout our lives. But I find I'm at 43, man. At these ages, healing very much correlates with the ability to drop those stories, to drop the stories we've inherited. And the stories we've inherited are so complex. They're not just about the socio-political stuff. They're not just judgments about your race, judgments about your value and it's everything. It's everything. Healing, it looks, a healed person is more in tune with the present, has an ability to be present. Why? Because presence is all there is. That we sometimes are caught up in the stories. We're caught up in stories about the past, stories about the future, stories about who we should be or what we should be. And so those things govern us. They govern our internal dialogue. And a healed or healing person is much more present. A healing person is much more detached from these things. There's an ease and a calm that you can see, and it can be palpable. You can experience it when you are healed or healing. You understand that you are, and this is, and you want to be present. You have detached from the stories. And it's weird because the healing process continues, it grows, it keeps building, it develops, and there's a paradox to this life, as we've talked about. So even as we are calm and relaxed, and healing implies these kinds of things, but it doesn't lean into a kind of lethargy. It doesn't lean into a I want to point to a paradox here because it's both a presence and an ease and a calm in the moment, but it also engages with growth. There's a curiosity. The healed person also, this might feel like a paradox. Like if you're, sort of, there's a way to talk about this that would feel like these are two opposite things, that you can't be both like completely at ease with who you are and what this moment is, and at the same time also be striving and curious. But no, it's both. It's both. It is that ability to really appreciate the moment and appreciate yourself and love yourself, and to exude that kind of calm and ease with the moment, and also engage with the natural, intuitive desire and of growth and desire of curiosity, openness. There's an awareness that even the story. First off, the stories that we have in our heads are so often false and don't deserve our time and energy, but that even the ones that we do take on, we do assume that there's an openness. There's always more. There's always more. you know, that's kind of in a way what the therapy thing is about. This, you uh, thankfully a lot of men are beyond that kind of like anti-therapy idea, or this I don't need therapy, but like, yeah, the people, when you seek therapy, it shows an openness. It's a curiosity. It is a you have accepted that there's more than you know. um, you've taken an initiative when you go to therapy. You've taken an initiative to be curious about the self in a way that your own personal self inquiry might not be able to satisfy. And so that acceptance of that truth, engaging with all of that, right? The healing process is going to look different for everyone. What are people going to learn when they go to therapy? Well, it depends. It depends. Again, we've all built up ourselves in different ways, but as we've talked about paradox, like um, somehow the healing process engages in like a series of experiences that pull us to notice that we are bigger than we know, that we are, whatever we've built up, however we've built ourselves up, that there's another side to us. The shadow is also available to us. These underexplored parts of the self, and to have ease with that. I've talked in a previous episode about this trip we took to the Seychelles in Africa, and but I could tell the story in another way. Like, you go to a restaurant and there's a pizza slice. All the friends are sitting at a pizza slice, and I've said, like, if there's one last pizza slice, there's different personalities at play, and sometimes you might watch. There's whoever takes the last pizza slice is a different personalities at play. Some people happily quickly take the last piece of slice. They know that there's nothing to worry about. You know what I'm saying? They're very active. They realize that it doesn't matter, and they take the last piece of slice. There are other people who are very cautious, and there are other people who are very considerate, and they want to make sure that the other people have the pizza slice. Okay, and so when you watch a person, though, you might be watching this person, this typically considerate person. She goes out and grabs a pizza and grabs it and takes it in. And the question there, you're looking at an action, and I want to point to the fact that it's possible that even in that benign little action, there's this massive personal experience that's happening. Even in that little benign, like, it's nothing to write home about. Somebody had the pizza slice. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in a general context. It doesn't matter in a, on a cosmological level, or even on a, social level. But personally, she developed a personally, that choice could have been a major development for her psyche, for her ego, for her brain, to build the capacity and to know that, like, she is entitled to the last slice. She's entitled to take what she desires, to have it, that she doesn't have to be considerate all of the time. This is possible. And that this is a way that healing might manifest. Um, I have a personal thing where, as I said, I grew up very much being a helper, and my identity was wrapped up in, I'm one of those friends that will show up, and he'll show up not just for the fun stuff, but he shows up for the difficult stuff. People needed to move. All my friends, man, I'd be at least 5 times a year. I'd be out here helping people move. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, play football, work out a little bit. People be like, "Oh, Billy, let me use your muscle. Come over here and lift these heavy couches and this huge ass fucking dresser. And I don't want to pay for an, professional, so help me out." And I would do it. And I did it all through my 20s and my 30s. And very recently, after we moved to Baltimore, I was going through a process of understanding myself. Shall we say a healing process? And one of my awesome friends out here, someone who I've helped move several times before, she made a move up here to Baltimore. And she asked me she didn't ask me to help her move. She asked me she had her family coming to help her move, and she wanted me to be present. And it was just a timing thing for me where, man, I was in my healing process, and I was healing particularly this. I was made aware, I was conscious of the fact that I wanted to do less of the things I don't want to do. I wanted to get comfortable saying no. I wanted to get comfortable withdrawing my labor, my free labor. I wanted to like, to me, that would be a smack, and a point against our friendship, a point against my goodness as a good friend. And I took this opportunity with my friend who was moving to go visit her. I saw her younger cousins and nephews were moving around, and big guys were moving things around. And I helped minimally. I helped almost nothing. And it was very weird for me. It was very weird for me. I had to fight a bunch of feelings as people were walking around and moving things. I felt that people were watching me. I felt that people were judging me. I felt people were like, "Oh, how come he not helping us lift this heavy stuff?" And it was powerful. And it was powerful in the sense that I realized that our friendship persisted. I realized that it's okay. Like, whatever, like, let people think I'm lazy or whatever they want to think. It doesn't matter. People can't understand my healing process. They can only look at the actions and make the assumptions that they can make. And I made progress. I healed some that day. I still suffer from this friend thing, and this desire to fix and to help all the time. That's still something. But by not helping my friend move that day, I grew tremendously. I learned that I have a right to not help, and that my friendship will persist. I'm still a good person. The idea of what my identity required. So I was able to detach from a story that required these kinds of efforts for me all the time. And that was powerful. And it showed me that I'm bigger than I thought I was. It showed me that life is bigger than I thought I was. So, it's stories, yo. It's stories. And healing points to the process of healing, points to what is. It points us back to what is, which is why presence is a part of it, because it points us back to what is. Um, all the stories we get as a kid. I already talked about the idea of male value. These stories, these lies that we tell boys. We tell them that they're not valuable until they become millionaires or 100,000 and boys grow up feeling that. Men grow up believing that. I went through a grind in my 20s and 30s, and small business grind as a creative entrepreneur. I was around lots of other people doing things in their own way, in their own fields, from personal training to any other kind of business. Just grind. The idea of like every second had to count. And I've already talked about how I would forfeit lunch, I would forfeit dinner because I wanted to work and work and work. And healing has involved realizing that that's not life. That rest is important. That that I was born valued. That my value is inherent. I'm not going to attach my value to these kinds of capitalist requirements. That is not it. That produces anxiety. That pulls me into the past, thinking that I wasn't valuable. That pulls me into the future, thinking I need to meet some marker. That pulls me into measurement, looking in the mirror and wondering if I'm valuable or not. The healing process shows me that I'm the operant power, that it's all one thing, that my presence is enough. Like my presence, my energy, my attention, where I place my love, how I move. If I want to expend effort, I can, in my way, on my terms. I do it from a healed place. I don't do it from an anxious sort of, oh, I'm the friend, I have to do this. I talked about with my family. I don't do it from an anxious, oh, I'm the son, I have to do this. I have no other choice. I have to do this particular thing. I have the creative freedom to know that everything is mine. Everything is actually me. All of the things that I'm seeing and all the assumptions I'm making about what is, who I am, and what's possible for me is me. Like I do that. And I'm still going through an incredible process, but I've gone through quite a few years of healing, and I'm grateful for the incredible insights. I'm grateful for the choices. And the other thing about healing is it's like sometimes we get into these studies. I mean, on YouTube, there's all these videos, and we have gurus and people who want to um, teach a process, a way of thinking. That's very important. But again, when I think about presence and ease and healing, it is actually it's less thinking. It's the removal of the thinking. It's being. It's being. That's why I had to make that choice. Like it's not enough to notice, let's say, that I was feeling uncomfortable with the commitments to helping all of my friends move. It's not enough to notice that and be like, oh yeah, sort of intellectualize it. Like, yeah, man, I'm uncomfortable, but I always help my friends move. And you have to act. You just step into the world with the new understanding. And if you could do it from love, which is what I tried to do, even in that case, you know what I'm saying? Like my friend, she lives out here now, and we're dope. And she's fantastic. But it's like test it. This is what I'm talking about in other episodes. Like test your understanding. Test the stories. They're not real. And keep what serves you. Notice that you are the one who can control those stories. You are the one who can choose which stories actually are valuable and which empower you and which make you feel good and strong, which lead you to finding more joy and experiencing more joy, um, and more presence and calm. Again, part of the calm and the presence is just from being and choosing and setting boundaries in such a way that you're doing more and more of what you love. You're doing more and more of what feels good. You're less and less involved in things that you feel duty bound or contractually bound to, or that you have some mythological story that comes with a requirement. So I'm gonna wrap it there. Listen, check out the rest of my YouTube page, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave in the comments what you think about what I'm saying here. The healing process looks different for everyone, but consistently you'll find that the healed person is able to sit in their presence, in the present, with ease and calm. Um, they are in tune with themselves, and the process, I think, deals with whether it's meditation, some sort of like it's self-awareness, and then being more of the self, being more of the self, because it's you, because you have that power. And what I found too, and I'll end with this, is that when you love yourself more, when you understand just how complex and brilliant and miraculous and amazing you are, and you love yourself, that love extends further. You look out and you see other people that are miraculous and brilliant and interesting, and they have the same condition that you have, and they're healing, and they're on their own healing process. And you have grace for people as you meet them, and you leave room for people to be who they are. You see them and you leave room for them to express differently, because you understand that they too are just as you are, but different. And it's all one thing. All right? Y'all, see you tomorrow. Healing. Love yourself. Later. Peace.